In the name of the Father, of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. We shift our attention to chapter 3 of the encyclical, which is a extremely pivotal chapter in many ways. Not simply because it's the midpoint between 1 and 2 and 4 and 5, but it's also pivotal because it really sets the table for what's going to follow and really fleshes out what has been in 1 and 2. And so we have to do a little spade work as we go forward. Chapter 3 is entitled, and the very title of the chapter is itself key and important. Technology and dominance, the grandeur of humanity in light of the promises of AI. Those words are quite significant. We use them all the time, but we have very little understanding of what they mean. We throw them around, and everyone seems to have a definition of them, which really doesn't fit the meaning of the word. Because since we have grown in the modern culture to have very, very little respect for words, their origin and what they mean, because words are treated either like Play-Doh or a lump of dough that's made for baking, rather than to understand the meaning and the origin of a word as it relates to an activity, a way of understanding the world, usually referred to as the study of philology, the study of the meaning of words and the origin of words. The first word is key. We talk about today technological culture, technology. But what does it mean? Well, it's about a machine. Or, we'll give some example. Let's go a little bit deeper than that, okay? So we can get a clearer insight of the notion of technology. The word technology comes from two Greek words, techne and ology. Techne means knowledge. Techne means understanding, or knowledge if you want, you can use that. And ology is the study of. Technology is the study of understanding. That is, it's understanding what we are attempting to do, achieve, or understand. Now, the word up there that is used in the modern context is techne. That's only one word. It's only one prefix for knowledge, or the study of something, or understanding. The first and more important word that we have completely lost sight of in our vocabulary, which is the result of much of the mischief that has taken place in society because of misapplications of technology, is the word episteme. Episteme also means understanding or knowledge. Understanding or knowledge. See, the Greeks and other languages other than English have a very, very respectful way of taking words and having words with slight variations or prefixes to indicate something deeper in the word, and also that there are different situations and occasions in which the word is used. For example, the word love. The Greeks have 3 words for love, eros, philia, and agape. Eros, from which we get the word erotic. Erotic love is the love of sexual love, the love between sexual partners. Philia is a brotherly love or a community love. It's the love of friendship, And so we have the misnamed city, Philadelphia, Because if you've ever been to a sporting event in Philadelphia, you find out that there is not much brotherly love there at all, especially if you happen to be on the other side. And agape is a selfless love. It is a love, what we call indifferent. It's an indifferent love. Now, when you say indifferent, you see there itself. It means you don't care. It's not what we're talking about. We're talking about an indifference which is not self-seeking. I love you because I can get something out of you. That love is utilitarian. It's transactional. But you have a love that is indifferent in the sense of it seeks the good of the other because it is good for the other. It is the good of the other. That's selfless love. I don't want any reward. It's not a quid pro quo. It's none of those kinds of things. I don't love you because I simply love you. And if you want it because, it's because it is that which is truly good for you. Now, whether the person receives it as that is not the issue. The issue is the motivation by the person who extends love is not in order to gain some advantage or some reward or something back. That's an entirely different love. It's a manipulative love. In fact, it's not a love at all. So we use those words depending upon what kind of love it is, etc. The same thing up here with the word technology, of which we have also the word episteme. Now, episteme is very important, and one of the major causes for much of the difficulty we have today is because episteme is the study of ends. Is the study of ends. That is, that for which something is made. That for which something is made. Its essential purpose, if you will. Essential purpose. Techne, or technology, is exclusively concerned with means. M-E-A-N-S, means. That is, technology is about the how. About the how. And what do I need? Everything is utilitarian. It has to be useful. It has to be practical. It has to be productive. Episteme is concerned about the end. That for which something is made. What is its proper end, function, purpose? And we say form follows function. Well, so the important thing there is that today we're almost totally and completely concerned with techne, means. And the ends are not in the thing itself. The ends are what I decide it to be. Take, for example, the advances in biomedical today, recombinant DNA, the things that are done with genetics, people doing experiments in order to produce the optimum baby. So we take the DNA, we fix it together so that we have the perfect baby. The right color eyes, the hair, the smile, the gender, all of these kinds of things. We are manipulators. We are people of hands. And we can always fix something. It's the development of the engineering mind that controls us today, which is why we are so fascinated with machines. The robotic, the emergence of the robotic culture, no longer a movie, but very much with us in many, many ways today, and growing, by the way. So, means are very much concerned with productivity, results, utility, and also in every development, there is always the expectation of planned obsolescence. Obsolescence. You see those things that y'all have, that y'all worship with, the relic of the modern age, those cell phone things, those smartphones where you get dumber. You got that. Well, I'm not familiar with them. No, I'll give it back, I promise. Believe me, I will. You got this thing, huh? And, we kind of laugh and smirk about it and so on and so forth. But again, I know people who actually need an EMT if they forget this while they're in their car. They'll do U-turns on the 101 in California. Turn, oh my God, why? I had my whole life on this thing. You got to get a new life. If your life can be put on one of these, you're in trouble. You got more problems than you thought. But my point being that let's say this is the new, I don't know what this is. I don't know. I'll carry these things. Let's say this is the, Model 10 or whatever it's up to now. I'm making up the number. I have no idea. It might be 50 for all I know. But it started out like a 1 or a 2. The apple, And have you ever thought about the symbol that Steve Jobs selected? The apple bitten into? You ever thought? He had a number of choices to make. I think, for those of you that dare venture into the Bible, we got into trouble the last time somebody bit into one. Even with polygrip or implants that you seem to have today, we've had problems. And so we have this. And it started, have you ever thought, about the Garden of Eden? Should always be in your mind. Because it explains so much of the human condition and where we are today. They're in the garden, it's perfect. But always remember, in that perfect Garden of Eden, there's a serpent. Roger Williams, the great colonist, Rhode Island, gave a famous sermon on the serpent in the garden. Even in paradise, there was a serpent. See? And so they were there in paradise. And Genesis tells us they are walking with God in the cool of the day. Obviously, it wasn't Louisiana. So in the cool of the days, walking, and they're walking, Adam and Eve, and they have this intimacy. They're simpatico, and all of that sort of stuff. And God's, isn't this beautiful? Oh, great. See, because God had created Eden to be his home away from home. God planned on taking up residence on earth that he had created. Go back and read the end of the book of Revelation. How does it end? God will return and be with his people in the new heavens and the new earth. Sin screwed it up. Okay? So, they're there, and they come across, God says, if anything you want. Anything you want. Sort of like a kid at Toys R Us, huh? And, but you can't have that. That was the real downer. That's the problem. If he had only shut up at, you can have anything you want. Oh, man, that would, that'd have been great. That would have been really great, huh? Like an indulgent old grandfather, huh? And, but no, he said, and you can't eat of this tree of knowledge. Can't eat it. But it was appealing to the eye, good for food, delightful. You want to see the Garden of Eden? Go to a rip-off store down the street, grocery down there. And what do you see in the front? Fruits, vegetables, all the shiny, bright things. You don't see cans of soup. You don't see diapers. Huh? You don't see all those things. It's pleasing to the eye. It's attractive. It gets us. You get in the checkout line, or whatever they call it. And they got all the nice things there, candies and crazy papers about the Martians have landed and taken over, and so on. Oh, I got to get that card. That must be true. Look at that. Oh God. And we start, either that or you see it on the computer, then you know. The Bible is all crazy. But boy, if you see it on the computer, my God, that came down from Sinai. And Moses took that down. So you go there, and they see all of this, and the serpent, goes there, and he says, pretty nice here, yeah. And Eve, says, yeah, but you can't have any of that. Really? Not only does she say that, she says we can't have it because if we even touch it, we'll die. You see how problems start? God never said that. God, see, it always starts with doubt. You want to break up something? Plan doubt in a marriage. You want to break up a relationship in a business? Plan doubt about the partner. You want to ruin somebody's reputation because you want the way up the ladder of corporate America? Plant some doubts about your chief competitor. No direct attacks. No, bunker busted B-52s. Come on, cat's paws. This Stella. Do you hear? Can you believe? Of course, I don't believe that. But people are talking about this. Can you? That's all you got to do. And then go off on your cat paws, or slink away like a snake that you are, and you got a problem. Because they've been walking in the cool of the evening, everything was great, and da-da-da-da. But did he really say that? Oh, no. See, God is very unreasonable. God is jealous. God didn't want you to have this. Why? Because he knows if you eat it, you're going to become God. And so, he doesn't say to her, eat it. He doesn't have to. See? That's the way it is. It's always, the perpetrator always wants to have no footprints or scales to indicate that they're the real perpetrator. And so they eat it. And as soon as they eat it, God starts calling around for Adam and Eve. They don't answer. The first result of sin is fear. Now, forget about all that other stuff. It's fear. Fear is the worst thing. You want to screw up somebody's judgment? Your own? Afraid. You'll make some of the worst decisions your life ever made. But that's fear. What do? They hide and they begin to cover themselves. God is calling them. Where are you? Probably at a higher voice than that. I don't know. In California, we don't care. But anyway, and God says, where were you? Didn't you hear me calling you? And they said, we heard you, but we were afraid. First time they used that word. We were afraid. The God that they lollygagged through the cool of the evening, they're now afraid of. First result of sin. That's why in the first letter of John, it is perfect love that drives out all fear. Love's first target is fear. You do not have true love if the love comes at the price of fear. That's coercion. That's coercion. That's why God gave us freedom, because God does not want forced love, because it's not love. And that freedom has responsibilities. But that's the price of being human. Or as Sartre says, we're condemned to be free. Condemned to be free. What do you mean? My goodness, we're in the 260th anniversary of the land of the free, the home of the brave, and all of this. Sartre and Eric Fromm and others say, really? You really want that freedom? How many times in our life do we spend running around avoiding the responsibility of freedom? It's the blame game, scapegoating. You want a business that's recession-proof, inflation-proof? Open up a store. Excuses are us. The lot will be packed with cars. I don't care. It's not me. It's my parents. Not me. My daddy tried to breastfeed me, and my mother dropped me on my head, or something like that. My zodiac is the wrong one. It was in the right house, but the wrong pew, and all of this stuff. All of these kind of things. Freedom comes with the burden of responsibility and accountability. See? And that's the thing. We want to be free, but don't hold me accountable. Oh, really? That's interesting. Well, that freedom and responsibility causes that because when they say they're naked, God says, who told you you were naked? It was the serpent. And the serpent, Eve says, the serpent gave the apple, and I ate it. Now, Adam is no slouch, I'll give him that. I mean, she's blaming the serpent. Adam goes right to the top of the food chain, doesn't he? He says, it's that woman you put here. You all, I knew it. So you see all the women who hate the Bible and Christianity, this is one of their favorite things. Adam is ultimately blaming God. See, everything was fine until you put her here. I mean, it was bliss. Oh, God, it was so great. Fishing every day, golf, whatever. I loved it. Budweiser, galore. Never got a bare belly, one of these kind of things. But then, every day, you see the dynamic there taking place. Freedom and responsibility. We're always shifting it, etc. Well, when we come to these gadgets, see, and we have this planned obsolescence, what we have is the constant exchange of things, the constant discarding of things. Because it started out as a smartphone, one, or whatever it was, very simple thing, which was supposed to do what? It was supposed to be paradise on earth and bringing people together. Oh, God, we have community, democracy will spread all over the place, we'll have the exchange of ideas, it'll be wonderful and terrific and great and all of these kinds of things. And yet now we're in the second generation of young people who are growing up on these things. And what are the psychiatrists telling us are their main things that they're seeing? Loneliness, depression, social isolation and withdrawal, increased thoughts of suicide and ending their life, etc. Because they're worshiping this. They're worshiping these screens. You say that this technology that was supposed to liberate us, you see, it has now become the God of many. And I gave you some examples last week from the New York Times, and I have one in here for you again this evening. But, gee, if you have the 2 or the 1, this is bad. I mean, this is great. This is the 10 or the 12, whatever it is. Thank you. All of that. It's the planned obsolescence. And now, if you ask yourself, what is now the blooming rage among people today when they go to the tech stores? It's the dumb phone. Yes, just what I said. It's called the dumb phone. You go there, and it's limited to the things you can put on it. It also controls the algorithms you see, what comes up on your screen. You can program it, and so on and so forth like this. And I'll give you an example of another extreme. that went with this. And now with the introduction of this AI, virtual living, virtual relationships, we have these sites now that are very, very popular. You can go and fashion your perfect wife or your perfect husband. And they fashion it for you on the screen. And they talk to each other. And in fact, just recently, several of the people who engaged in this got married to the screen. And I'm serious about it. I'm serious. You can get the one where you can have a nuptial done. Now, some of you in here may long for that, given who you stuck with, you know, and ain't enough beers to make them look good, put it that way. But you get the idea. Anyway, so you have that. And the whole thing is now about the constant means. The means for what? The means for more sensation. The means for novelty. The means to, because we get bored. We have to have this rapid change. We don't get up, once upon a time, most of you in here old enough to remember, not all of you, some of you, you used to have to get up to change the channels. It wasn't a problem because you had like 2 or 3. That wasn't a problem. And you had these rabbit ears or so, these antennas or whatever. And you'd get the bad kid or the little one. Here, hold that thing and go stand there. Stand over there. And they'd have aluminum and other things on the thing. And you're doing this and that. It was a great thing. It was a great experience. It was like putting out the garbage. The little rotten one got that thing that did. Now, as soon as something comes on, and it doesn't in about 2 or 3 seconds, and so you have on television what? You have all of these so-called news programs or information programs or discussions. And you ask a compound complex question. And you, well, we have just a few seconds left. But that's what we want. Everything is compressed. It's the compressed. But you see, it doesn't stay on television. It doesn't stay there. That's the way we deal with one another now. Short term, high frustration, concentration has shrunk as we are more and more inundated with stuff, so-called information or ideas, sensations. We're overwhelmed with it. And so our ability to concentrate, to read an article, forget about reading a book, read an article, I'll skim it. It's become a kind of Cliff Notes approach to life. The quick, fast, one of the shrines is the microwave, fast food outlets, convenience. As I've said to you many times, we ought to take the bald eagle and get rid of it and place as the national symbol the lazy boy chair. That's what we want. We want that convenience, that immediate impact, etc. And we're overwhelmed with this sensational, this stuff of being sensate. But what happens is that anything sensate requires more intensification because you reach a point of saturation. Take a sponge, dip it in a bucket of water, lift it out. When it's full, it begins to leak, drip, like a cloud whose walls break because it's so heavy with rain. And then it rains, it drops. What happens is that we have become so saturated with sensation. Think of the things that bombard you every day. From getting up to what? The alarm clock or the television or the radio or whatever you got, some gadget or something, to the time you go to bed. Constant bombardment of stimulation in the senses. You produce fatigue, but you have to have more. You have to have more. It's like That's why we're talking about more and more today, and it's being recognized as an addiction to the phone, especially the young people. You have little kids now running around with their cell phone, and they have their own private number. You got to be kidding. I wish I were. I'm not. What do you want for your birthday? A phone. I got to have a phone. And you have people giving it to them. You know, that's like giving the child the credit card. Once upon a time, we gave them a little glass bank, a little piggy bank, and you put it in there, coins, by the way, like that, into the thing. And the parent would say, "There it is. Save it for Christmas." So I want to open it now. Daddy would take the hammer. Go ahead. But there's not more coming. Go ahead. You want it now? Go ahead. It's a beautiful lesson. As long as the parent did not refill or get another piggy bank. That was a beautiful lesson to be taught. You had the Christmas club, the layaway plan. What did you have to do? Wait. As I often tell parents, when little Clarice comes home with the latest version of the best love of her life, and he's brought into your house and you want to test him, you invite him to dinner. Very important. You know, it's a strange thing. I understand. You know, like where people sit down and they kind of, you know, you take away the phones. You have to do that. And when it comes time for dessert, you make sure you make a pie. Make a pie. You cut it in the triangular form. And you put it down in front of him. This way. With the fork. And if he turns the pie to where he starts on the crust first, get him out of that house so fast that you want your daughter never to even mention his name again in the house. Why? Because he wants instant gratification. He wants the crust and the pie and everything right there. If he starts from the tip, you can trust him a little. That's right. So I used to tell my niece, you're not going out with Europeans, especially those that have Russian hands and Roman fingers. She didn't think that was very amusing. Young and foolish, but anyway. You got those kind of things. Delayed gratification. What's one of the selling points of this? It's fast, fast, fast. I don't want to wait. What about your car? The one that goes from 0 to 60 in 10 seconds, 9 seconds. But now I have one that goes from 0 to 60 in 4 seconds. That's got to be better. Yeah, if you don't know where you're going, any map will get you there. And any speed is good, as long as it's fast. Because that's all about means. Means, means, means. That's what it's about. What are the means? And there is going to be a time in which this wonderful smartphone 10 is going to be met on the television by smartphone 12. And this is now obsolete. But you can turn it in. See? And you can get a new one. And that's what we have become. The turn in, throw away culture. Because it's obsolete. And it's but a short skip and a jump from looking at life as obsolete. How old are you? Oh my God. You don't have too many threads left on the Michelin. And so you get a little sick of this or that. Life's not worth living. You'd be better. Quality of life is terrible. Bye. Or you have life at the beginning. It's really inconvenient. We really didn't plan for it at this time. We'll try again later. All right. That's what we do. see. And what happens is culture then begins to develop a means only, because we have stopped asking about episteme. What is it made for? What is it made for? It's one thing to know what this is supposed to be made for. It's supposed to be made as a form of communication as we go around in our life today, etc. And everyone can't be home, and not everyone has a landline. Fine. But look at all that it has grown into. Look at all that is contained in this thing. This man's life. Right here. Right here. You can't lose this. That's a death. That's a symbolic death. That's dying. What you're asking me to do? Give up my phone? What do I do if I turn this thing in? I get an operation on this thing. I get some kind of utensil or something, and I shove it somewhere in there, one of the orifices here, and a little thing pops out somewhere. I don't know how you do this, but anyway, it's there. And what do? You have another little. You take that little thing out, and you get the new thing in. Punch it in there, ready to go. And the other poor little thing, I don't know what happens to it. But I don't know if it's obsolete, you destroy it, I have no idea. Maybe you don't either. But anyway, you get the idea. And you have these things today. And so our understanding, Aristotle says there's 4 causes. This is the board I've come to know and love, Betty. You know? You're supposed to be the keeper of the board, Betty. You know?
There's another one up there for you.
Oh, great. See, this is obsolete. I'm now going to throw that away. And I'm now changing to this. And if this one doesn't work, I'm throwing Betty away. Of which Gary will be very happy. No. No, he won't. Aristotle says there's 4 causes. There's a formal cause. There's an efficient cause. There's a material cause. And the big one, there is a final cause. There's the final cause. Today, in this world, we are interested in these: efficient and material cause, because it fits the engineering mind. Formal cause and final cause we have thrown away. What is the formal cause? The formal cause is that for which a thing is made proper to itself. Simple example. I have a need. A real genuine need. I have a need to sit down. Well, I'm going to do that by fashioning a chair. I'm going to fashion a chair. The formal cause, why? Why am I going to do that? Because the formal cause of a chair is a piece of furniture or something that allows me to sit. Now you can say, yes, but you can store things on it. That's not the issue. You know, everyone wants to be a lawyer. No, that's not the issue. What it's about is, what was the thing made for? It was made to be an instrument, piece of furniture, whatever, to sit on, to rest on, settle, to sit down on. Oh, let me get you a chair. And I come over with a bicycle. Makes no sense. Bicycle, although you sit on it, it's not meant for that. Can you use it? Sure, you can sit on it. If you're a motorcycle babe, you can lounge over it, and so on and so forth, and see if any of the Hell's Angels come by, and, you know, give you a little exhaust or something. I don't know. You'd have that. But that's not for what it's made. It's made to drive, to take you someplace, etc. Vehicle. So the formal cause is that for which the thing was made proper to itself. The efficient cause is the cause that actually makes the thing itself. Therefore, the formal cause, a chair for sitting. The efficient cause is the chair maker, the carpenter, the person who can make it. Who made it? Who brought it into existence? How did it come about? Whatever it is, etc. Okay, so that's the efficient cause. The material cause is the stuff out of which it's made. You have a chair in here, this thing. I'm not sure what this is made out of. But you can have a wooden chair, you can have a metal chair, you can have a lounge chair, you can have all kinds of chairs made out of different things. Wood, you can have some made out of, you have water beds, you have all kinds of things you can use. Okay? But it is the stuff out of which it's made. The wood, the nails, the glue, all of that sort of stuff. Whatever you're putting on it. If it's a roller chair, the rollers, if you want one, you need one of those, the wheelchair, etc. Whatever the materiality is of the thing, or the elements that go into making it, that is the material cause. And then you have the final cause. The final cause is that for which a thing was made, hence it reaches its purpose. It reaches the purpose for what it was made. For what it was made. That's its final cause. Today, the formal cause, that for which a thing is made, runs up against a very, very, very toxic word. Very toxic word. And you see it all over the place, although you may not even recognize what's being played out here. This may sound all very abstracted. It's about as abstract as your television, the latest thing going on in the culture wars, and the latest thing you might read from your newspaper. It's called nature. It's called nature. Human nature and the nature of the natural world. How that thing is made. Therefore, you say, well, what's the big deal? What's the big deal? I can assure you, and I know from experience, that I am a male. Okay? And my mother and father told me many years ago that I was born a male, a boy. In fact, I thought that was my name for a while. Among other things my daddy called me, but we won't go into that because I'll have to take another dose of Prozac. But anyway, so you have all that. But you know, I had a revelation last night that I was really never meant to be William. I was meant to be Wilma. Yeah. See, now that's really hurtful. Because y'all are insensitive. Mega goofs. Insensitive people. That's what y'all are. Now, for the more adventurous among us, as I told them when I was in California, because I wanted to be fair and balanced, on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, I'm William. On Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday, I'm Wilma. And on Sunday, I take a rest. Because I'm confused. They didn't like it either, so don't worry. They have no sense of humor about that. Strange group. No. See? We were told, follow the science. Remember that? When the foreign virus came? And it did come from Scandinavia, by the way. follow the science, follow the science, follow the science, follow the biology. Okay. And when you had the chancellor of the University of California medical system, the chancellor of the medical school, just the other day, was giving testimony before the Senate committee of California. And one of the representatives, this lady, said, have you ever known a case of a biological man becoming pregnant and delivering a baby? That sounds simple enough. It's not. See? No. And he said, well, a transgender. And she said, no. I asked you, do you know of any instance of a biological male? Biological male. Not a male fabricated from all kind of surgeries and chemicals and all this other sort of stuff. You can't answer the question. I mean, I'm serious. I saw the thing there. This is incredible to me. I'm sorry. And I don't care what you think about this side or that side and so on. You want to get into all that? I don't want to get into that. It's a very simple question. Very simple question. You see, today, why? Because nature means constriction. It means you have a certain thing and function and form to do. And I don't want that to inhibit my liberty, my freedom. See? So if I want to be this today, I'll be it. If I want to be a Cherokee Indian, I'll be that. As one of them did. I'll do any of that. And who are you to tell me that I can't do it? You can be whatever you want. The song, I gotta be me, I gotta be free. Well, okay. But again, we because we're interested in means and the idea that things can be fixed. They can be fixed. We just have to rearrange them and move them around because everything is movable parts, and the engineering mind looks upon everything not as a mystery, but as a problem to be solved. You see, the mystery of sexuality, the mystery of marital love, the mystery of friendship, the mystery of so much of life. No, it's not a mystery, it's a problem to be solved. It's your hormones, it's your glands, it's your brain secretions, it's all of these kinds of things to explain. Sometimes you don't stand for an explanation. You open yourself up to have something revealed to you that is beyond our human capacity by itself. Every artist in the world should at some way or another reckon that. When the doctor comes into the room, and I'm going to go to the Duke Medical Center here, and he comes in and he says, Mr. Peoples, how you feel? Okay, I'll be back tomorrow. Wait, no, I read I saw the chart. I saw it. I'll be back tomorrow. Nurse, 5 cc's of adrenaline. Because he looks kind of weak. Wow. Like, I'm almost finished. Jim, hang in. I'm no longer standing in front of a patient. See, I don't have a patient. You thought you were, you're not. You know what you are? You're a chart. You're a chart. You're a temperature, a blood pressure, you're a pill, you're something that somebody scribbled here. And I defy you to read what they scribble, except when they send you the bill. It's always clear. A prescription you can't read. That's what you are. See? You are your symptoms. You are numbers on a chart. It's not an I thou, it's an I it. And the trouble is, if I keep engaging in enough it's, I it, I become an it. I become an it. And so, when a young baby, little baby dies, and the doctor comes in and the parents may ask why. And I grab the chart and I read the condition. That's why it's happened. You're not asking that question. You're not asking a medical question. You're asking a religious question. Thank you. You're asking a religious question. Why? Why? Go get your artificial intelligence to explain that to your satisfaction. Have the doctor come in. Huh? What?
I just said you can't.
No, you can't. God scared me for a moment. Oh, no, that's fine. No. She's a former Baptist. That's okay. No. We love that. Yes, Jesus. Oh, yes. Yes, Lord. Come on. Oh, where's that spirit? Don't hold back. Come on. So you got all of that. Okay? Yeah, there we go. That's all right. Yes. Come on, sister. Come on. Yeah, oh, there you go. Oh, praise God. Chosen Catholics. I mean, stand there like this at Mass. What do I do now? Gladys? Sit down. Yeah. It's unbelievable. Okay, so we did. But you go there and, feed that into your AI. Why did my 2-year-old baby die? Go ahead, go do that. Go ahead and do that. I'm sure it'll spit something out. It'll ask you what the symptoms are. How long? This, that. Go ahead. Go do that. Tell me how much consolation and how much truth and how much culpability do you have? Let me know about that. Ah, boy. This is the thing. If we haven't learned anything from the foreign virus, when so many things shut down and everything there, and we said, oh, goodness, I can watch Mass on television. Oh, God, isn't this wonderful? I have the bathroom anytime I want, and when I want to sneeze and do this or that, and nobody's going to come look at me and this and that. And we got tired of that because the church has capitulated. But we got tired of that. We wanted an incarnational experience. We wanted flesh and flesh. It was fine. But it ran its course. Because there's nothing like being there. And that's true. That's true. See? So, final cause in a technological society, the final cause is to produce what you want according to your will, your desires, in the most efficient, productive, cost-effective way possible. Hence, everything is understood in terms of cost-benefit analysis. That's the engineering mind. So therefore, I don't know, just for the sake of discussion, you're 80 years old, and you've had some heart problems, so on and so forth. And it's getting increasingly worse. And, you're on the proverbial banana peel, ready to slip right into heaven or wherever you're going. You're going to do that. And you have those who come along and say, look, you got to realize your mother's old. I mean, look, she's 80-something years old, or whatever she is. She's got all of this constant congestiveness and weighing on her and so on and so forth. You can't tell me she's happy. You can't tell me she's enjoying life. And besides, you've got a couple of children coming up, and what you're giving her, you're taking away from them. And also it's putting a strain on your family. It's causing some problems with you and your wife. As if they weren't there already. You have that. You're working longer, harder. Now you've taken another job, half a job or whatever, in order to make ends meet. But what are the ends and what are the means? See? Well, cost-benefit analysis says, well, it's stupid. We can let her go away quiet. See, Chesterton said, in the beginning we will kill people because they are a burden to themselves. But there will come a time when we kill them because they are a burden to us. I mean, who wants to go see grandma and mama and all of this in some nursing home where she may be drugged up, don't know what's going on, and sitting there and hearing the same old things over and over again? My God, I'm just prolonging the suffering. That's what you're doing. Well, Pope John Paul II, he wrote 13 encyclicals. His last encyclical was the greatest, and it was his 14th. And he didn't write it, he lived. He showed what death with dignity is. If you were semi-conscious, you heard all the voices. Is that for me? Oh, that was God. I was going to say I'll be there in a moment. He's always doing this. It's really so annoying. Anyway, you heard all the voices. My God, he's an embarrassment. Why doesn't he get off the stage, for God's sake, and put a younger person up there? He's got to have somebody with a handkerchief by his mouth. He's hunched over. He can barely walk. You can't really understand him, per se. I mean, my God, at least let him retire. No. See, what John Paul was teaching is that there are limits to our curing, but not to our caring. Is that the best we can come up with? End it all? Get him out of the way? Is that the best? Is that the best that's in us? Nobody's saying about forcing people to torture. We try to give people as much palliative care as we can. There are religious orders that sit with the dying and take care of them. Religious sisters do that. You have the order of St. Lazarus, religious men who do that. Many dioceses have them. And the great fear is the fear of dying alone, of dying without having anyone there. That's why in religious communities, when a person is in that stage, there is always somebody there from the community 24 hours a day. They take shifts. 3 hours, 4 hours, 24 hours a day. They're not shipped out, away, off, da-da-da-da-da. And if they have to go to the hospital, absolutely, somebody from the community is always there with them in the room. They're not abandoned. They're not obsolete. They're not as useless as that number 2 cell phone in an age of number 10. We don't discard them. See, it's what Pope Francis called the presence of the throwaway culture. And there's a book that hasn't received enough attention, came out a couple of years ago, called Resisting Throwaway Culture. By a nice young guy, Charles Camosi. And the notion of a throwaway culture was the terminology of Pope Francis, of blessed memory. And Pope Francis talked about this idea of the throwaway culture. This was picked up by Pope Benedict XVI, and certainly John Paul before them. And they talk about this idea of the throwaway culture. And quoting John Paul and Benedict, he writes, "The culture of relativism, that is, there's no absolutes, no moral absolutes, no absolute truth, is the same disorder which drives one person to take advantage of another, to treat others as mere objects, imposing forced labor on them or enslaving them to pay their debts. The same thinking leads to the sexual exploitation of children and abandonment of the elderly, who no longer serve our interest. It is also the mindset of those who say, let us allow the invisible forces of the market to regulate the economy and consider their impact on society and nature as collateral damage. In the absence of objective truth or sound principles, other than the satisfaction of our own desires and immediate needs, what limits can be placed on human trafficking, organized crime, drug trade, commerce in blood, diamonds, and the fur of endangered species? Is it not the same relativistic logic which justifies buying the organs of the poor for resale or use in experimentation, or eliminating children because they're not what the parents wanted? This same use and throw away logic generates so much waste because of the disordered desire to consume more than what is really necessary. We should not think that political efforts or the force of law will be sufficient to prevent actions which affect the environment, because when the culture itself is corrupt and objective truth and universally valid principles are no longer upheld, then laws can only be seen as arbitrary impositions or obstacles to be avoided. Exactly what happens. Everything becomes an obstacle. You get knocked away, move it. A law, get another one. Get this. This is what happens. When you get finished with your coffee from McDonald's in that paper cup or whatever they put it in, throw it in that trash can right there, trash. On those phones and computers, thank God for the delete button. Delete it. And so when you have a problem, you delete it. You fix it. You manipulate it. One of the great experiences for young people is to be stuck in something they can't get out of. And mommy and daddy can't come in and fix. See? Oh, I went off to college and I got the roommate I don't like. I want to change. Really? No. Sorry. You can change at the end of the spring semester, at the end of the fall semester, but you're not changing now. Learn how to get along. I'm not talking about if they're selling drugs. And see, everybody immediately runs to the argumentum ad absurdum, to the absurd, in order to try to be a counter-argument to what we're talking about. No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about, oh, she has the hairdryer on too long, or the television's too loud. Work it out, kiddo. Work it out. Because you see, if you get used to walking away, what happens is when you get married and you don't like it, you walk away. When you get a problem in your marriage and you don't like it, walk away. When you get a boss that you really don't like, or a coworker, walk away. Or your life becomes walk away. See, and that's serious. That's serious. Yet people walk away. See? And we say, oh, marriage is no good. After all, look at all the abuse. Look at all the stuff. What we do is, you see, we have become so used to failure. We've become used to failure that we judge everything by its failure. Final point here. Name me one single thing that human beings do that's not a failure and can be corrupt. Let me know what that is. Just let me know what that is. It's always subject to failure. But we take the abuse and we say marriage is no good. We take the lawyer who's the shyster and we say, all the lawyers are crooks. We take a priest who abuses and we say they're all a bunch of homo pedophiles. Okay? And we say that. We say that. You hear it all the time. Turn on your television. Teachers. You have some teachers who are lazy. All they want is a paycheck. So we judge things by their failure today in order to dismiss. But the overwhelming majority of that is really a good, a blessing. And the vast majority of people are not like that. But what do you have on television when you turn it on? It's one continuous parade of failures, disruption, war, conflict, etc. Well, if you're a fish, everything to you is water. And if this is all you see, everything is like that. See, that's the problem. Everything is like that. And this final little point I'll make, if I may, is a wonderful piece in Evangelization and Culture on one of the truly great minds of the 20th and 21st century, the French philosopher and social critic Jacques Ellul, and his landmark book that came out, I think, in 1974, The Technological Society. And Jacques Ellul, E-L-L-U-L, his years 1912 to 94, was a terrific thinker who saw many of these things taking place in advance. And he says in the Technological Society, I'll read, was first published in France in 1954, published in English and translated 10 years later in America at the instigation of Aldous Huxley. The word technique that Ellul uses in the French is often translated into English as technology. How it is. But what he meant by this word was not any particular technologies, machines or computers, but a particular way of thinking and the overall social world that has come into being based upon this way of thinking. The technological engineering mindset becomes the perception, the glasses by which we look at the world today. The way we think, the way we judge value. And today we know the value, we know the price of everything and the value of nothing. Because everything is turnover. Get in, get out. Turn those tables. Get them in, get out. In and out burger. Fast foods. And so on. He defined technique as the assembling of means, M-E-A-N-S, or more precisely, the totality of methods rationally arrived at and that bring absolute efficiency for a given stage of development in every field of human activity. Efficiency. We have them going around, huh? Efficiency experts. How you can downsize, streamline, cut your costs. You got to get rid of all these people. Who you get rid of? Well, get rid of the old ones first. Definitely. You know, I mean, their baggage on the boat. Get them out of here. That's what happens. Everything's efficiency. we're going to downsize. The other day, I forget who it was, one of those companies, laying off or getting rid of 15,000 workers. 15,000 workers. Who was it?
Verizon, I believe.
Verizon. See, one of the carriers of the little thing. Bye. Good luck. Go and you can install sunroofs, something. So you can get solar panels or something like that. If it's cloudy, I don't know what you do. But anyway, don't, but it never gets cloudy. So you can do that. After President Trump lost the election for the second time, the first day, one of the first things that President Biden did was to cut down and shut off the pipeline with Canada, the oil, and all of that took place. And in Oklahoma and surrounding area, there was about 10,000 who lost their job the very first day like that. Don't you? Now what do you do? Well, again, you get into an alternate technology. Find another niche for you to get into. That's fine. That's fine. Now where are they? Where are these niches and these places? See, we're always doing the last thing first. We're always doing the last thing first. And if you really want to mess up your life, do the last thing first. You can always quit. You can always stop. You can always throw your child out the house. You can always fire an employee. But what have you tried before doing that? You can tell them today, get out of here. Last story. I had a principal once, made a school visit, and she told me, I'm getting rid of Miss So-and-so at the end of the term, when the school year ends. I said, really? Wow. I said, this is her first year, huh? I said, oh yeah. I said, gee, you were so high on her. Wow. I mean, she was like the diamond in the rough. She said, yeah, it just didn't work out. I'm getting rid of her. I said, really? I said, let me ask you, who hired her? Well, I did. Oh. I said, are you quitting? She said, no. Oh, okay. I said, let me ask you another question. How many times have you met with Miss So-and-so and mentored her during the course of the year? Well, I don't know. I said, you don't know how many times you met with the diamond in the rough that you were so high on, and now at the end of the year, your answer is to fire her. Did you get another teacher to help her? And kind of work through these things? Did you discuss it with them? Well, no, I mean, I got all these other things. I said, you have nothing more important to do than your students and your teachers. The teachers in the classroom, that's the soldiers in the field. You can't be a general that sits back behind a desk. You know, you got to be a Patton, not a Washington general. You got to go with the troops. You got to be there and find out. But that's the solution. Fire her. Marriage, something doesn't work. But wait a minute. Have you done anything else than just walk away? Child. The problem child. No, it's the child with problems. Not a problem child. No child is a problem. There's no person is a problem. You got people with problems. You know, or the stuff we hear today. Well, it's just potential human life. No, it's human life with potential. If you don't kill it, that's a difference. And if you don't see it, well, I'm not sure what to say to you. And so, in that third chapter, and I assume you can read the chapter, obviously. I'm trying to fill in some of this, and I recommend. I'm not gonna bug you anymore. Don't worry. A book that I recommend that every person who has any responsibility, any sense, any kind of interest at all beyond that of an amoeba, especially if you happen to be in charge of children, grandchildren, relatives, young people, etc. Otherwise, stop your complaining and stop all this kind of stuff about isn't this terrible and isn't it this and that. In other words, stop whining. Stop whining. And treat yourself to this book. I recommend it. People don't get it, but then they want to complain and so on. Sorry, I'm all out of stupid. It's called Super Bloom, How Technologies of Connection Tear Us Apart. It's a great book. Great book by Nicholas Carr, C-A-R-R. It's a great book. It is terrific. It's a terrific book. And if you have young people or people you care about, especially growing up, especially young children, get that book and read that book.
Say the title again.
Super Bloom. S-U-P-E-R-B-L-O-O-M.
I've got that, but
Yeah.
how?
How technologies of connection tear us apart.
Okay.
And final little thing here to tantalize you. I realize some of you will be pulling out crosses and trying to sprinkle me with holy water to see if I melt. But once again, the New York Times, it's been blessed, don't worry. Anyway, you find out that there is an interesting article in here having to do with, first of all, for those of you that are concerned about economics and all that kind of stuff, the stock market. AI's market dominance comes with a warning. Read this article and what exactly is taking place inside these particular companies and where they're headed and where they're going. There's another article in this edition of a person who, a young person in the 20s, who said he felt himself becoming addicted to his phone and going through withdrawal. And there are withdrawal symptoms. It's recognized now. Actually, it's going to make its way into the diagnostic manual for social disorders. They go actually through physiological and psychological disorders. The person developed a system for weaning himself off of his addiction to the phone. He couldn't go anywhere without the phone, always on the phone, wake up on the phone, go to bed on the phone, all this kind of stuff. Really. And he's not, and that's a growing population, by the way, growing population. And it's the, you can look at, this one is July 12th, obviously, past Sunday, and Sunday before. And the one before that has to do with this young person's story that she wrote. Very well done, by the way, about overcoming this addiction that she could see creeping more and more into her life and what it was doing to her, socially, psychologically, her relationships, etc., her job performance, all this kind of stuff. So, but this book by Carr, Super Bloom, is an amazing book. And if you really want to get an insight and a handle on it, and bless you, Carr is not a knuckle-scraping conservative Neanderthal. He's a writer for The Atlantic, and he also has done work for the New York Times, etc. And his book has been #1 on the New York Times for about 8 or 10 weeks. And it's even highlighted in here, in this magazine, in culture. It's referenced here with a full article on super bloom. So I recommend it to you. And on the cover of Super Bloom, on the cover of Evangelization and Culture is an interesting thing. This is Narcissus looking at himself and fell into the pool, but in his hand is his cell phone. Which tells you something. By the way, this whole this issue is issue number 27, and it's totally and completely devoted to social media. And it's very well done. It's very well done. I have to say that. And it deals with various issues in families, young people. There's some reflections and studies here by doctors who have done extensive studies on the actual physiological use of these phones and so on the size of the brain and the function of the brain, and what it's doing to the various lobes and hemispheres of the brain. Physiologically, it's impairing them. So I recommend that to you. Final update, and then we're out of here. I was supposed to have a very generous parishioner here. Had ordered 20 copies of the Pope's encyclical. They have them at Ascension, they have them at Ignatius, and they have them through our Sunday Visitor, among others. The one she ordered it from was from this bunch, Word on Fire. They're still not here. I called Word on Fire and indicated my situation, and I told him, I said, this is a classic example of overpromise and underdeliver. I said, and the word may be on fire, but you all are the iceberg that sunk the Titanic. And come to think of it, you remind me more and more of a big jar of Vermont molasses. I said, because, that's about as Christian as I can be. Especially when you pre-order these things. When you ask to pre-order, and they immediately charge your credit card before they deliver. So please, Reinhold Niebuhr, the great Protestant theologian of the 20th century, said, St. Paul tells us to be fools for Christ, but not damn fools. And that's right. See, that's the problem. Christianity is understood as kind of being like a Campbell soup noodle, spongy and this and that. No, I didn't insult anyone. I didn't call them bad names or anything like this. I simply indicated to them that this is not acceptable. And every time we swallow it, it makes it easier for them to do it again and to do it again. So I'm rewarding bad behavior. No, I could have canceled the order. I didn't. Because the lady said, well, should I? I said, no, don't cancel it. I said, you did a wonderful thing. And for the one or two who may want a copy, we can make that available, and we'll have some in reserve here in the church and so on. Like that. It's not a question of being ugly. Don't be ugly and this and that. Please. Please. So anyway, that's the update. It's supposed to come this week. And Santa Claus is at the North Pole. With the Easter Bunny's coming back. But anyway, I don't know. I don't want to make fun of that, because some of you may still, be like Virginia, wanting to know if there is a Santa Claus. Well, all right. I don't know. You do have a Santa Claus. I'll be criticized. Next week, Father Kyle may make a guest appearance, who knows, for chapter 4. Chapter 4. safeguarding humanity at a time of transformation, truth, work, freedom. My goodness. Wow. Who wouldn't want to miss that? So, well, think about it. I mean, you're getting three things, or maybe four or five. So let's end. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Almighty and gracious God, we offer you glory, praise, and thanksgiving for this time together. Come, Holy Spirit, come. Please indwell in us with the fire of your love. Burn away all that keeps us from you. Indwell in us each day, granting us hearts renewed, responsive and eager to do your will. Hearts, humble and contrite, be one with the Sacred Heart of Jesus, hearts renewed, filled with love and gratitude.